Welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to the Prince of Fresh Air. This is your host, the most charismatic man in entertainment, and we are back for another episode. That's right. And it's a pleasure to welcome my next guest, Avery. Avery is a 24-year-old Los Angeles native, proud Afro-Caribbean guy who doesn't hold back his opinions by any means. He holds a 9 to 5 job in the tech industry. And then in his free time, he's a content creator who uses Instagram as a fashion platform to show off his better fits. And he's known as Superavezz on Instagram. And we worked together for Jubilee. For people who don't know, Jubilee is a very well-known platform on YouTube. And we've worked together in one of the better episodes that came out recently. So it's a pleasure to have him on the podcast. How you doing, man?
What's good, man? How you doing?
Living American broke dream, you know.
I respect it.
Exactly. Well, we in the middle of pandemic, you know. What can I say? No, I'm not really broke, but you know. So let's start this off right. Let's give the people what they want. So we've talked about this plenty of times, and I want to give people a sense of you. So like I mentioned, we worked together before in Jubilee, and the episode we did, it was called "Do All Black Men Think the Same" on the Spectrum series, but they changed it to "Are Black Men Over Sexualized?" And that video that we did was very, it was talked about a lot. A lot of people from TikTok to Instagram was commenting on it. Even big YouTubers making reaction videos to it. And it seems to me that me and you were the most talked about, whether it was good or bad. What do you remember about your time on filming that episode? And is there anything you want to clarify, for a lot of people who may have misconstrued your comments?
Yeah. So first off, it was a great experience. Shout out to Jubilee and the team. But filming that episode, I just knew for a fact in my mind, I'm like, you're gonna be the villain. You're gonna be the one that everyone hates. Like, not even for a split second that I think that I will be on like the receiving end of like a lot of the, like negative feedback and things of that sort. I think a lot of people, they took what I said, but they didn't really listen to what I said in a sense. The comment I made of, I'm not pro-Black, I was pretty much stating that my views and my my standards of what I think a true pro-Black person is, that I don't fit in that narrative. And I think people took that by me saying I'm not pro-Black in a sense of saying that, I don't like Black people, or that, I don't care about the Black community. And that wasn't what I was saying. I was making my point of me not being pro-Black. I don't live in a Black neighborhood. I don't only shop Black. I don't only date Black. So I don't fit in that narrative of what I believe to be, a true pro-Black person.
Right. And let's start off with that, because I think, especially nowadays when you got people like Dr. Umar Johnson and countless others, people talking about pro-Black, on the heels of George Floyd and all these racial tension situations going on in society nowadays. For you, what do you think is pro-Black? Like, what do you think constitutes that?
I think everything that you do, I believe the main part of what I truly believe a pro-Black person is that, it's who they decide to, marry, who they decide to procreate with. I think that's the most important first before, when it comes to, the economic system of, the Black community, you feel me, whether it's, where you spend your money at. But I think who you're married to and who you date is a big reflection of who you are. So for me, that's how I view pro-Black. I'm not going to take a Black dude that's married to a white woman and say he's pro-Black. Like, to me, those two don't correlate,
Right. But let me and I asked you because that was one of that prompt in the video. Whoever, for people who didn't watch it, definitely go check it out. It's well worth the listen and the watch. But that was one of the most talked about points, was the pro-Black part. And I remember one of my comments was, I feel like, whether you date outside your race or not, I think is really up to the individual, because there's people who, I should say, let me clarify, because we are talking about pro-Black. So there are Black people who date, only Black women or Black men, but yet they don't care about the culture. And then you have some who date other outside their race and they care more about the culture. Do you think interracial marriage or dating or marrying outside your race really is a constitute of making you pro-black?
For me, let me just start by saying I don't care who someone decides to marry. Like, I'm for interracial marriages. I'm for, people loving whoever they are, whether gender, whether sexual orientation. Like, be happy with who you are, right? My whole problem with my beliefs on pro-black and black people in specific is you cannot shout and you cannot say that you're in support and you're super pro-black, but then you're with someone that doesn't represent those values, that doesn't understand that struggle, that will never know truly what it's like to walk in the shoes of a black man or black woman. So to me, I look at it as, okay, cool. Like, you're dating outside of your race. That's great. But don't be on the mountaintops on some Dr. Umar stuff saying, yo, like, I'm super pro-black. And it's like, no, you're not. And that's okay. It's not a bad thing. I think people think that when someone say that they're not pro-black, that it's a bad thing. It's okay to not be pro-black. There's nothing wrong with it. But I'm not going to look at someone that's married to someone that doesn't represent their culture or anything of their background and look at them as the example of what it is to be pro-black.
That's a fair thing. And you know what you said, starting off the conversation, I think it was very important. You said you was going into the video, or I should say into the episode, that you thought you was gonna be the villain. And like it's funny because I remember in the middle of filming the episode, I was like, I'm gonna be the one victimized. Uh, you know, I'm gonna be the one to get crucified in the comments. And it turned out not to be the case for the most part. Because I think people like the honesty and the respect that we have for each other. We weren't just yelling and bickering and screaming and stuff like that. But one of the things that I did find kind of weird was how a lot of people thought that we were all gay or we weren't all black because we weren't from the hood or the projects. It's like, I'm from the hood. I grew up in the projects. Do I have to have my pants slinging, throwing up gang sets to be a black man? Is that where we're going from? Um, did you ever get that idea that this is a certain image to black people that a lot of people have that maybe you don't possess?
After the episode aired, yeah, like, I realized that a lot of people views on what yeah like a lot of people views on what they think black men should be or really far left than what I thought. I mean, people were saying none of these guys are from the hood, and I'm just like, even if we were from the hood, how can you be able, like, how would you be able to depict that from this video? Because oh, like, why do they speak like that? Like, bro, how are we supposed to speak like like, this is how I talk in my day-to-day life. Like, I don't like, like, this is just me. Like, I'm on this show, I'm gonna be real. And like, the same conversations I have behind closed doors with my friends or the same conversations that I wanted to come to the show with, you know what I mean? Be like my true authentic self and like my beliefs, and like, like, it's that simple. Like, I don't know. Like, it was just crazy to me to see so many people be like, yo, like, these aren't real black men. You guys could have did better. And I'm just like, I don't know what you guys expected. I don't know if y'all watching too much TV or too much BMF, but man, we all come in different standards. You know what I mean?
Right. And I brought that up because that was one of the points I made, and one of the points a lot of people pointed out was the fact that I always, like, when I was talking about my trauma as a kid, I was talking about I wasn't black enough, and some people assumed that I was just talking about my skin color, which obviously is not the case because I'm a chocolate man. But I think people also forget the fact that just looking at the mere comments, yeah, I think a black person is a gangbanger, a criminal, a guy who speaks in slang and throw up gang sets. Is that what a black man is supposed to sound like? So that's what I mean. Like, that was one of the points I was making, was it wasn't so much that I wasn't aware that I was black, but I didn't feel black because growing up, the people that was respected in the hood and the projects was the guys I went to school with. I was on the corner all day shooting dice, selling drugs and gangs, beating up people, violence. That seemed like that was respected. And I mean, the comments really didn't bother me because at the end of the day, I've worked with them. I've done 5 episodes with Julie before, and but it's just another thing that I talk about. It's like, if this is your idea of black men, then you're screwed. Because if y'all only think that, we have to speak or carry ourselves a certain way, you know, you, that's not right to us. And to say we're not real black men because we didn't have that perception that you thought a black man should have is ridiculous.
Right. I agree. Yeah,
You
I
know,
completely agree with that.
um, but I digress from that. I think it was I think we did a good job on that episode. It was definitely one of my favorite episodes I've ever done, especially the most viral one too, because it seemed like everybody had a lot of support for us. Even though some of the guys in the group didn't, get a lot of airtime, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
you know,
Shout out to
it,
my boy Jordan because I know Jordan like they edit the hell out of him, but
oh yeah, nah, it's entertainment, man. You've got like I'm an actor, so I see it. I've been seeing it for years. It's entertainment. There's a narrative they push. They cast certain people for a specific reason, and they air certain segments and certain talking points because there's a narrative that they want to push an agenda. So it's unfortunate that a couple of the guys did have some good points that didn't make it, but you know it's show
right.
business. I'm not that surprised. Um, but let's digress. Let's get to know you a little more. So um, I didn't know you was Afro Caribbean, and I think that's fascinating. Because when a lot of people look at you, they might think you're half white, half black, because you're a light skinned guy. Um, talk. What was your childhood like? Growing up in Los Angeles and stuff. Was it good out here for you?
Yeah, growing up, for the most part, I grew up in like for the most part middle class areas. Like I never really lived in like a, like a not too good of an area, like in majority of my childhood. So I guess my experience on things is a little bit biased. Like I have the LA experience because I'm from LA, but I felt like, my parents and my mom, they kind of kept me sheltered away from, like the street world and, gang culture and things of that sort. So granted, now that I'm an adult, I know the culture very well, but I do feel like, I had a like an advantage of being raised kind of, on like the outskirts and like in like the suburbs, where I was able to see both sides.
Right. Oh no, that's cool. Like for me, I grew up I grew up in foster care. But I grew up in the projects, and um, yeah, man, it's not a thing that I understand why people glamorize it so much. I can understand why because of all the things that happens, but it's you know it has its downfalls to say the least. Um, and one of the things I had mentioned light skin, right? Because one of the things that we talked about in the video too was the whole, at least I brought it up, was the whole light skin versus dark skin debate. Um, and for you as a light skin guy, have you ever felt like um you've had to defend your blackness because you were light skin?
Yeah, all the time. Like my whole life. I remember like from elementary school is like the earliest memory I could remember of, you know, being in schools with people like that weren't what's what I'm looking for. Like for the most part, I went to school with like a lot of like Cubans, Puerto Ricans, or people that weren't necessarily black, right? So a lot of times people felt that, oh, well, you're cool, but you're not like those other black people. Like, oh, are you really even black? Like, I felt like I've always had to defend my blackness. And it's just like, dude, like my mom is a whole black woman from Compton. Like, I don't know, like, why do I have to keep on defending my blackness? Like, bro, like I'm black at the end of the day, regardless of, you feel me, like what it is. Like, I'm a black man, like I walk this world as a black man. If I get pulled over, they're not like, oh, you know what? You're Afro Caribbean. I know you got some white in you from like your mom's side, bro. Like, no, you're a nigga. Like, bro, it's just
Exactly.
like, it's no question about it. Like,
Unless you look like Tom Cruise, yeah, I've it's mind blowing, and like it's one of those things. Like nowadays too, you see it so much in the rap industry, the music industry, where you see a lot of black rappers getting busted by the FBI and everything, getting slapped, put in prison, and all that stuff. And one of the things I've been seeing a lot recently too is the fact that it seems to me, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But it seems to me that as black people, we fail each other. Like I feel like when George Floyd happened, there was some type of unity. But
Mhm.
for me, it was more so like, uh, it's the news coverage, it's the cameras, it's the lights that people want to come out for. Um, do you ever feel like as a community we actually tear each other down more than we do try to reunite?
Yeah, definitely. I do feel like it's a lot of division within us. I do feel like before we're able to make change on the outside world, we got to work on our inner community first. Cause I feel like it's so much division, it's so much animosity. And this is not with every person, but a big part of the community is a lot of division and like a lot of, jealousy and stuff. I feel like if we fix that first and come together as a whole, we will be so powerful in this world. But I feel like what holds us back is a lot of our self-hate for each other and things of that sort. I really feel like if we got that checked off and cleared up, we'll be able to like really make progress in this world. Because I feel like on the outside looking in, some people may feel like they're in the streets, they're marching for justice, they want this and they want that, but then they're killing each other at a rapid rate. You know what I mean? So it's like, how can we expect other people on the outside to respect us as human beings and respect our lives when we don't do the best of a job we could just with like within us? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, 100%. And it, and the reason why I mentioned the music industry is because I see it so much. Like it mind blows me how many rappers in 2022 when we just started have been killed by other black men, and we just started the year. Um, and like you see it so much in the music now. Don't get me wrong, I love hip hop, I love rap music, but it seems like every time I turn around, the newest black artist is getting gunned down by his best friend, another black man, because of jealousy, because of hatred. And it's like, can we, you know, help each other grow? Do we have to kill each other off of jealousy? Like, it makes no sense that, you're best friend with somebody for over 15 years, but, they make it, bigger than you before you get the chance and you kill them out of jealousy. I think we're doing each other a disservice by doing that. And again, it goes back to the comment that I was making about the, Jubilee video. What some of the comments were, oh, they don't act black. Is this what y'all want? Y'all want, the Pop Smokes? Y'all want the, I forgot, the Young Dolph, the people getting killed in front of a cookie store? Is
right.
that what y'all want of black people? And I just think that we as black people too, we do it to each other. Like the whole light skin versus dark skin debate. Don't get me wrong, I understand why people mention it, because if you grow up with light skinned family members, you're a dark skinned person and vice versa. There's some type of things that you do notice. But I think the whole segregation of each other because of because of skin color, it's what it's no different than a white person doing it to us. If you think about it. Do you think that's a big problem, like this whole light skin and dark skin debate about, oh, dark skin is more superior than light skin and vice versa?
Definitely, yeah. And I think that it ties all the way back into slavery. That whole light skin, dark skin mindset, that stuff started from slavery. Light skins were afforded privileges that, the darker skin tone people weren't afforded privileges. Like, not saying that, they had it easy, but they had it a tad bit easier being, quote unquote, called a house nigga and being in a house. So I feel like that stereotype stems down from slavery, and it's just been passed down and passed down, that light skins are seen as more feminine and more weak, and dark skins are seen as more, masculine and more, of a superiority. I think that's something that's been going on for generations.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, man. And that's all I even like the whole pro black thing. That's why I say for me, it's up to the individual, because at the end of the day, if you're not a strong character, if you don't stand in your own principles, it wouldn't change if you date a black woman, or a black man. Why? Because if you treat all black people the same way, like you don't care if it's not in your household, you won't be bothered. You beat on your wife or your husband, then I mean, I really don't think that you're a good qualification of a pro black person, despite the fact that you married a black person. So I digress though.
That's
Um, let's get back to it. Um, so you work a 9 to 5 job in the tech industry, and you're also a content creator, which is we're seeing a trend of people doing that nowadays, having a full-time job, but also finding ventures outside of their job to fulfill the creative purposes. How's that journey been for you?
It's been great to say the least. You know, I've always been a fan of, like taking photos and modeling and, fashion and things of that sort. So I really felt like within the past 6 months or a year or so, I'm like, I'm really gonna try this Instagram stuff like fully, like really just post more, try to post more content. I'm trying to get active on TikTok. Like I'm really trying to just really just push myself out there just to see, where it can go. I think during the pandemic, I kind of looked at life, from like a bird's eye view, like what exactly do I really want to do? Like where am I trying to go, whether in my career wise or like my personal life? So I just felt that, within the past 2 years, like losing people and things of that sort, it really made me think hard on like the type of impact or the type of legacy that I want to leave. And I've been on this mindset of, don't have fear, like just post your shit and just go about your shit. If people go like it, they go like it. You don't want to sit around and, worry about what other people think. And then, you let years go by and then it's too late, like just live in the moment, like just post it and just going about your, like your life. Like,
Oh, I completely agree. I think we've seen more people, like especially in our age range, doing that because our parents, they used to the whole 9 to 5. You come home, you cook and clean, and then you repeat. You do that 5 6 days a week. But now there's multiple ways of making money. Like this Instagram influencers making 3 times people's annual salary in half a year. So there's money to be made everywhere. But let me ask you, what is the biggest misconception about content creating? Because a lot of people, they have this idea that content creating is just, you just wake up and you take a photo or video and you just post it. Like, do you think a lot of people underestimate the amount of time and creativity that goes into it? Thank you for tuning into another episode of the most entertaining podcast of all time. And thank you to all my fans, supporters, and listeners around the world. Whether you're from a small town in Utah, to Los Angeles, to Sweden, to Finland, to Russia, thank you. Because with your support, we have become one of the most top rated podcasts on Spotify in 2021. So thank you all for all your contribution and listening to this podcast. And I also got to mention one thing, just one thing. If you want to donate or contribute to this podcast, you can go to anchor.fm/the Prince of Fresh Air, which is in the links, and it's my main platform. And you can go to listener support, and you could donate anywhere from 50 cents to 10 grand. I'm not judging, but thank you guys for an amazing year. 2 years into this, and it's all because of you. So thank you, and let's get right back to the action, shall we?
yeah, I mean, it takes a lot. Like, I know for me, I kind of have social anxiety. So if I want to post a video or even if I want to take a picture of like a fit of mine, if I'm out in public, like I think twice about everything. Like I be self-conscious a lot. So I feel like it's a lot of, being comfortable like within yourself. It's a lot. Like it's not just, oh, I have a phone, let me just post this. Like, nah, like it's a process. Like you want to make sure you got the good lighting. You want to make sure, if you're telling a story, you want to make sure that, it's interesting to like captivate people. Like you want to, be like the true authentic self. It's more than just posting. Like you're pretty much or a director, a casting director, the talent, like you're all of that in one. So I really feel like it's a mind game. Like you need to know, like, all right, I post this, like, all right, what's next? Like it's more than just a video and a picture. Like at least I could speak for me. Like every picture has a story to my content.
Right. Now, let me ask you a hot topic question, right? Because in a sense, we're both content creators. Do you think social media has done more harm than good in society?
Ooh, okay. I'm like 50-50 with that because I feel like social media is a great tool. Social media has connected people from all over the world. It's gotten people jobs. It's gotten people put on and, career situations. It's done so much positive stuff that, half the stuff wouldn't be around today if it wasn't for social media. But then on the other hand, I look at it, the damage. Social media has created this false narrative. I feel like a lot of us, we follow people that are in our age range. Like, let's just say, you know, I'll use like the Kardashian Jenner family. I use like these top influencer people, right? We
Mhm.
follow them, and a lot of people, it's like, especially young women, they compare their lives to them. They want to go get surgery, they want to get big butts, or they feel like, yo, me and Kylie are the same age, and she's worth almost $1 billion. Like, I feel like it creates this false narrative of on young people that they feel like they should achieve so much in such a little bit of time. Like, all of this is new. Like, we're like the first generation to start this content creative shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's no playbook on how to do this. Like, our parents wasn't doing it. So I feel like being a young adult, especially if you're under 25, a lot of people look up to these people and they feel like, yo, I'm not doing enough in my life. How come I don't have a G-Wagon? How come I don't have this? They look at it as a material aspect of things. And I feel like social media has created, like I said, a false narrative to feel that you need to have it all by a certain age. And the real reality is that that's just not true. Everybody's on a different path and in a different chapter. And when you get there is when you get there.
Oh yeah, man. It's unfortunate. Like, um, and I mentioned that because I started seeing it in the acting world. Like, a couple years ago when I was still in college, it was all about the talent. It was all about, you come into an audition, and you work, you memorize the sides, you come in, you prepare, and try to do your best performance in your audition. And nowadays, it seems to me, especially as I climbed up in the ranks a little bit, it's like it's all about the amount of followers you have. It's all about the social media presence that you have. And like it's sad to see so many people I've met in LA since I've been here who idolize the Kardashians. They don't want to be actors, they don't want to be influencers. They do everything because they want to be the new Kim Kardashian. And it's
Right.
like, I don't get me wrong, if you look up to her, hey, I'm not here to judge. But I think this whole social media thing has done so much more harm than good in the sense that um it's made people feel like they have to improve their life more than others. They got to prove themselves better than other people. Like, I remember I was having this conversation with this guy at my gym. He's a manager for one of the top agencies in the country, and he was telling me how there was people, you know you go on their Instagram, 500,000 followers, 1 million followers, half of them are being bought though, and a lot of them work at McDonald's. But
Yeah.
when you look on their profile, you see them in Cancun, you see them in Mexico, and all these extravagant locations. But what you don't see is the fact that they have to do many hours of overtime, or their parents bought them the trip, or they got a boyfriend or a husband that pays for the trip. So it. Don't get me wrong. In a sense, I do like social media, but if I wasn't in the entertainment industry, I probably would use it less because it does. When you go on there, you always feel like you got to compare yourself to other people, and I think that's the biggest problem with social media is people don't realize that it's all a front. A lot of people just show the best things that happen, but they don't show the fact that they struggling to pay rent next month. They struggling just as much as you, but because they have 500,000 followers, they're deemed better than you. And I think that's the problem I have with social media is it's too cutthroat.
Right. I agree with that. I mean, I've heard the saying before where it says, years ago, talent used to get you work. Now it's followers get you work. Yeah, I
Yep.
definitely do that.
Oh, it's true. I mean, uh, I some actor asked me for advice the other day when I was at work about acting and stuff. And I always tell people it's all about training because at some point it is about talent. But nowadays, it's all about the followers. Why? Because a lot of these agents and casting directors and movie producers and stuff, they want to know that all right, you can guarantee at least 500,000 people is going to come see this movie opening night.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that TikTok stars and YouTubers who have no acting experience is getting roles over people who's been studying at Fordham University for 10 years, or they've been taking acting classes they were kids, and they're talented and they will light up the room. But they're getting passed over because this guy over here from TikTok, he has 500,000 followers and he only has 1,200. And It's sad, man. It's completely sad, and I think that's the only reason why I talk down on social media sometimes. It's not so much that it's useful, but also it's giving people a way to make themselves um how do you put it? It's making people live in this false reality of security, and you know, I just like the whole influencer thing too. Like some of these people shouldn't even have a following, if I'm being honest. You know, because they know a good photographer and they know good lighting, and
Right.
they take good butt pictures. They can make our parents' annual salary in a month. And
Right.
you know, it's 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 unfortunate, but um, as a content creator, um, do you find it hard balancing your 9 to 5 and doing that at the same time? Because I know that can be, a big juggle sometimes.
No, for me, not necessarily because I'm not gonna say I don't take social media seriously, but I look at it as like what's the word I'm looking for? I look at it as just like a tool or like a side hobby. I don't let it consume my life to the point of where like, I'm not focused on other things. I just look at it as like something to do, if that makes sense. Like I'll tell my stories through my pics, when I post like fashion pics, like I tell my stories through that. But for me, I don't find it hard because at the end of the day, like what makes me money is, this job. And if I don't have this job, then, I can't even afford to like get dressed up in my nice shit and take photos and things of that sort. So nah, for me the balance is like pretty easy. Like I know like what's real life and then I know what's like social media. I know how to separate the two.
Now, let me ask you another question. If you can make just as much, if not more money doing your content creating, would you choose your 9 to 5 at the tech, or would you do content creating?
Ah, I mean, for me, I look at it as I know social media is going to be around for a long time. I don't have doubt in that. But I always have the notion of what if one day the Instagram CEO, the top people just woke up one day and just say, you know what, let's just turn this shit off for 2 weeks. Like, let's just see what happens. We just stop all this. Like, let's just see like what happens. Then what? Like, this job that I have is guaranteed I'm getting a check every 2 weeks. And that's guaranteed. It's no questions about it. You know what I mean? Like the likelihood of me losing that, okay, it can happen, they can go out of business, which I doubt, but there's more security and a 9 to 5 job than social media. I mean, if you got it like that, and like if you got millions already, and then okay, you can do the social media, you got something to fall back on. But if you're a normal person like me working, a 9 to 5 job, granted it pays well, and I live a well life, but I'd rather take the job personally.
That's fair. And I asked that because there's been an increase in I I'm not so much against it because I know during the pandemic a lot of people had a change in their mindset and reality. A lot of people were slaving at their 9 to 5 and they're not pursuing the passions that they always wanted to do. And I commend them for it. But you're seeing a lot of police officers, firemen, nurses, people in the medical field, and people were like real 9 to 5 jobs who are quitting these jobs to do OnlyFans or Instagram or YouTube. And I, again, I'm not here to tell anybody anything because I'm an actor. It's the most unstable career of them all. But I think I don't know. Like at some point, it's like it's cool because I do know a lot of them. Some people do make money, but the reality of the situation is, would you really give up a primary job that pays you a comfortable wage for a career in a social media platform that let's be real, if they decided to cancel Instagram tomorrow, you know, where's your money going to come from? And I guess so many people, I've been seeing a lot of people, quitting their 9 to 5 jobs to become content creators. And I think a lot of people underestimate um, the fact that it's not stable. This YouTubers who's been on YouTube for 10 years and they only recently just started making money. And then when the pandemic hit, they went from making 100 grand a month to barely $5,000 a month. And I think, what do you think about that? Do you think it's wise for people who, who's lived and, have 9 to 5 jobs to just up and quit and, do the things that they want?
Not at all. I mean, unless Instagram is coming to you with a $10 million check, then all right, you'll be straight as long as you invest right and spend right. Not at all. Nah, I couldn't see myself doing it. Like I'm a forever keep a 9 to 5 until I am secured at a level to where I'm making almost double what I'm making at my job. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be some security. I can't just take an L like that. Like especially in LA, like you know how high it is out here. Like you can't, like this not Iowa, where like rent is like $700. Like nah, like I can't take that leap. I got to be financially secure. Like that's just me. Like nah.
Man, what's crazy? Like, even though you just said, in LA you shouldn't do that. So man, man, I can't count how many 35-year-old people I've met who don't have a job, have barely any savings, but they're out there, Instagram, living their best life. And I'm like, yo, bro, you got nothing to show for it. Like, you got no
I,
money. You got 10 roommates. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? You share one bathroom with 9 other people. Like, is it worth it? Like, I don't know.
Exactly. Like, what do you have to show for it? I mean, for me, I'm blessed. Like, you feel me? I got my own crib, stay by myself. You feel me, dog? Like I'm blessed. Like, I couldn't imagine like being in that predicament. But in LA, that's normal to have 10 roommates and to, like I'm sorry, like nah, that's not me. I just wasn't brought up like that. Like, I'd rather have my own, and I don't know.
Oh, you got your own crib, bro? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Like that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Like, I'm blessed. Like, I couldn't imagine like it's people out here though that be 30 plus that is comfortable sleeping on people's couches and living the life and acting like everything's together. Like that can't be me.
Yeah, man. That's another reason. I do like Atlanta. The weather is definitely the best thing, but feasibly for a long time for me, I don't know. It's just it's expensive out here. Don't get me wrong, New York ain't cheaper, but it's certain ways in New York where life can be a little more comfortable without some, like the gas out here. Forget
Yeah,
about it.
man, almost
Um,
$4.
but it's like, in order to live by yourself, you really gotta have a good paying job, and I'm talking about more than $60,000 a year.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
seems like a lot of people here, it's just like 5, 10 roommates still paying 2 grand a month. Like, that's, I don't know. Like, I don't want to be in my 30s living like that. I just couldn't. But I understand why some people do it, because they want to pursue their dream. But I don't know, 35 though. I don't
Yeah, I feel like
know.
at 35, I mean, people get their life together at different points, but I feel like 35 is too much of a big age to be having 10 plus roommates or sleeping on the couch. And yeah, like, nah, I feel like at 35, you need to be established, man. You got to have your shit together by that point.
Yo, let me tell you something, right? So, last year, 2021, I think, 2021, 2022, 2020, I think it was, middle of pandemic. We was looking for another roommate because two of them moved out, and I can't count how many 50-year olds applied to live with us. I'm like, you know, I I'm thinking in my mind, why would somebody in their 50s want to live with a bunch of 20-something-year-olds? And one of the common things I've heard was, I'm trying to be an actor, I'm trying to be a rapper, I'm trying to be in the music industry. And it's like, wow, 50 something years old, like,
Yeah.
and you work at a fast food joint. I'm not knocking nobody, but LA is definitely like, in the city. If you hear somebody 50 years old who don't got their own place, you like, this dude is a weirdo. Out here, it's just like common practice. Like, everybody out here just living their best life.
For
You
me,
know,
I hate the people that got like, all right, in LA, it's a lot of like people that be flossing in like, let's say a Maserati or a Porsche or like a S class, and then like you find out like, oh, this motherfucker's sleeping on the couch. Like, I don't know, like
yeah,
that's
man.
backwards to me. Like, I can't, like, nah, like you gotta have your own spot, bro. Like, come on, at your big age, like, come on.
Yo, man, I remember at my old job, I was working in North Hollywood, and this dude from Domino's right next door, literally right next door. I used to see him all the time when I, take my breaks. I remember talking to him. He was like 30 years old, I think. And he had this super nice car. It was like 80 grand. It was souped up. It was nice. And I'm like,
At
you know,
Domino.
damn, yeah. I'm like, yo, bro, how you get that? He was like, yeah, man, I got 5 jobs. I live in my parents' garage, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, that's how you can afford it because you pay no rent. And there's a lot of people out here in LA like that. Like, there's a lot of people I've come to realize because when I first moved here, I'm not gonna lie, I was looking at all these Dodge Challengers and Chargers and Bugattis and Alfa Romeros, if I said that right. All these nice sports cars and high-end cars. I'm like, damn, son, I need to step my game up. And then as I start meeting people, it's like, yo, I actually live better than them. But the only
Exactly.
difference is, I don't have a car payment that, is more than my rent. That's the only difference. But yeah, that whole facade in LA is definitely one of the biggest turnoffs for me because it's easy to get caught up in it, especially when you're in the industry. Whether you're Instagram influencer, content creator, or in the entertainment or music industry, you definitely see it way more often than not. And it's like I hate the fact that you have to flaunt and stunt to show people that you're important when you really aren't. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And then like same with that dude. Like, dude, you driving around in an 80 grand car at Domino's. Do you even make 30 grand a year? You know what I mean? Like, come on, like you gotta look at shit like that. And like, especially with cars, like cars depreciate. So you spending all this on this car in 3 years, it's gonna be a brand new model that's way sicker than you feel me? Like, come on, like, I don't know, like it's just priorities. You delivering pizzas in an 80 grand car. Come on.
Hey man, it's the age of social media and everything. It really all is connected. It's the fact that I only mention LA because you really see it in LA. Like, if you go to New York, you know you don't see that. Like, yeah, you see some nice cars and stuff, but for the most part, people don't be out, sunglasses on, acting like tool jobs, big old chain necklaces. And if you do see them, they're usually famous or some type of rapper. I'm not saying famous rapper, but they're usually some type of rapper, music artist. But for the most part, like in the city, it's like people don't care, people don't really judge. And if you are gonna look like that, well, you're gonna get robbed. That's just the reality of it. And then you come here and it's like, yo, you work at McDonald's, you got on 5 gold chains, you driving the newest McLaren.
Right.
How? Like,
Oh.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not here to judge nobody. If that's what you want to live, by all means. But when your car get repoed, I'll be laughing at you.
Man, man.
Oh man. Um, so let me ask you, man. Like, what do you? What is your biggest goal in life? Like, what do you want to accomplish, like in the next 5, 10 years? Like, what do you want to do in life specifically? Do you have any goal?
Um, yeah. For me personally, I want to do something in media. So whether that's, hosting shows or whether that's, storytelling, whether that's being on the show, like media is definitely like my field that I can see myself thriving in. Um, I get told all the time from friends and stuff like, bro, you need to be on a reality show. Like you got the personality, like you crazy. But for me, like I want something bigger than a reality show. Like not saying that I would not get if the opportunity presented itself, I probably would take it. But anything in like a media aspect. Like I look to Speedy Mormon, the dude from Complex, as like his career as like a model. Like, like how, like the kind of lane he's in, like hosting shows for like Complex and, hosting the hype on HBO Max, like things of that sort. Like I see myself thriving in like that type of field. But just personally, whatever it is I do, I just want to be happy and I want to be successful at it. I mean, it's one thing to have a job and make all this money, but if you're not genuinely happy, then it's not good. Like my happiness is super important to me. Happiness is the number one thing I care about. The next, the money and all that can come second. But I need to be happy at whatever it is that I do in my career.
Can I get an amen? Whew. No. I'm not gonna lie though. I could see you on Love Island. I'm not even gonna lie. I could see you on
I love Island.
there. or on the Bachelorette, one of those shows. I could see you on
Love
that.
Island.
Hey, you light skin, man. You got to use that to your advantage, man.
Shit. Love Island casting people, if y'all listening, slide in my DMs.
Hey, I got you, man. I know some connections. I got you.
Oh, yeah.
um, nah, man. That's dope, man. It's always nice meeting people, who have goals and ambitions and ain't just living out here like, there's no tomorrow. Like it's nice that you have a plan, you have a vision that you want to do. Because like I always talk about active for me, like I've only wanted to do that since middle school, and I dedicated my life to that so far. And like even for me, there's been times where doing like Jubilee and stuff like that it made me realize maybe I want to do something on the side that actually pays me money and makes me happy. Because like I said, I'm not a 9 to 5 guy. I'm not a guy who's gonna work at a bank, especially with my type of hair. That's not even gonna happen. Um, but I don't like. I think it's important what you said. You have to, no matter how much money you make, you have to have fun in what you do, and that's what I'm trying to do. I ain't really trying to just do jobs because I get paid 200 grand. Because I'm gonna wake up every morning like, God damn it, I gotta go to this bum job. Then I'm not really living.
Exactly. You're not, happy.
Exactly, man. Any final words for the people? Because I think this has been a good conversation.
Definitely. All I can say is follow me on social media, Super Abes on Instagram. Yeah, just continue to, look forward. Like I know that, I'm gonna be seen again shortly on, a TV platform. So just stay tuned.
Exactly, man. Keep wearing that face mask. Stop playing out here. No.
Sir, N95s.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Nah, it was good having you on the platform, man, because we definitely had a good episode in Jubilee. So again, if you haven't watched the episode, definitely go check it out on Jubilee's YouTube channel. It's called Are All Black Men Over Sexualized. You'll love the conversation. Me, Avery, Larry Chats, who's in the previous episode,
Yeah,
was on it too. It was a good conversation with good guys, and like I always say, a helping hand is a better hand. Thank you, Ave.
facts. Thank you, man.